I was sleeping next to my girlfriend every night, and I still wasn't the man she chose.
I used to believe I had a talent for reading people. I could spot a liar by the way they blinked, a cheater by the way they smiled, and a narcissist by the way they explained their coffee order. That's why it was especially offensive that I missed the most obvious red flag of my life. My girlfriend Emma suddenly becoming very interested in evening yoga, despite hating anything that required stretching, silence, or self reflection. At first, I supported her. I even bought her a mat. She used it exactly once to lie on the floor and scroll TikTok, which should have been my first clue that something spiritual was about to betray me. Our relationship had been stable in the boring adult way. We argued about grocery brands, not about feelings. We planned vacations we never took. We said we should more than we will. I thought that meant comfort. Apparently, it meant I was emotionally furniture. Emma still kissed me goodbye every morning, still complained about her boss, still stole fries from my plate like a criminal with no remorse. Nothing looked broken, which is why what came next felt less like heartbreak and more like an unexpected plot twist written by a drunk screenwriter. It started with her phone. Not because I was snooping. I am a proud, ethical human who respects privacy. Her phone, however, betrayed her by buzzing at 2:17 a.m. like a mosquito with secrets. She was asleep, face pressed into my shoulder, breathing peacefully like a person who definitely was not ruining my life. The screen lit up with a message preview. I can't stop thinking about last night. No name, just those words. Romantic, vague, terrifying. I stared at it like it was about to jump off the screen and slap me.
I didn't open it, I didn't move, I didn't even breathe properly. My heart went into competitive mode and started beating like it was trying to win a marathon against my common sense. I told myself there could be explanations. Maybe it was her friend. Maybe it was about pizza. Maybe last night involved karaoke and trauma. I decided to go back to sleep, which is what cowards and people in denial do best. Unfortunately, my brain did not receive that decision and continued replaying the sentence like a cursed ringtone. The next morning, Emma was cheerful. Too cheerful. The kind of cheerful that makes you suspicious, like when a dog is quiet in a room full of pillows. She kissed me, smiled, and said she loved me. I almost choked on my coffee. I responded with a soft, emotionally confused, "Love you too," while trying to analyze her pupils like a detective who once watched half of a crime documentary. She grabbed her phone, read something, and smiled again. A small smile, a secret smile, a smile I wanted to file a police report against. I decided to observe, not confront, not accuse, observe, like a nature documentary narrator. Here, we see the potentially guilty girlfriend pretending to enjoy oatmeal while texting someone who is not her boyfriend. She started guarding her phone. It went face down on the table. It went with her to the bathroom. At one point, she took it into the shower. I stood there holding her towel, wondering if I was dating a waterproof lie. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself love means trust. I told myself a lot of inspirational nonsense. Then I met Daniel. She introduced him as a coworker during a casual coffee meetup. Daniel was friendly, charming, and had the confidence of a man who definitely owned at least one motivational book. He shook my hand like he was applying for my job, my girlfriend, and my social security number. He laughed at Emma's jokes a little too quickly. He remembered details about her stories I didn't even remember. I smiled politely while internally drafting my villain origin story. When he said, "You're lucky to have her," I almost said, "Apparently, so are you." After that, my world turned into a slow-motion disaster movie. Emma texted more. She worked late more. She dressed better for quick errands than she did for our dates. I tried to talk to her, but she dismissed it with affection and vague reassurance. I wanted proof.
I didn't want to be the jealous guy who ruined everything over a hunch. So I waited, which in hindsight is what people do right before something emotionally explodes. The proof arrived on a random Tuesday in the form of a photo notification. I was next to her when her phone lit up again. This time, I saw a name, Daniel, and a heart emoji. I looked at her, she looked at me, we both looked at the phone. The moment stretched like bad chewing gum. She grabbed it too fast, I smiled too slow, and in that exact second, I knew. Not because of the message itself, but because of how quickly she became someone I didn't recognize. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror like I was about to confess to a crime I didn't commit. My reflection looked tired, confused, and mildly offended. I thought about all the memories we shared, all the plans, all the lies I now suspected were quietly hiding inside those memories. And then my phone vibrated. A message from Mama, from the other room. It said, "We need to talk." My heart dropped so hard I felt it in my knees. I went back to the living room prepared for drama, tears, maybe even a dramatic walkout. What I wasn't prepared for was her calm expression. She didn't cry, she didn't yell, she just looked guilty. The kind of guilty that doesn't argue, the kind of guilty that already knows the verdict. And she said the sentence that officially ended my emotional free trial. I didn't plan for this to happen. That's when I realized my life was about to turn into a very long story I would one day tell strangers on the internet. Emma confessed in fragments, like her honesty was on a limited data plan. She said it started emotionally. She said she felt confused. She said she never wanted to hurt me. I nodded while mentally translating, "I cheated, I liked it, and now I'm sorry you found out." I didn't interrupt. I let her speak, because every sentence felt like another brick quietly placed on the grave of our relationship. Daniel, according to her, understood her. Apparently, I only understood how to pay rent and forget anniversaries. I asked the most painful question, in the calmest voice I could fake. "Do you love him?" She hesitated. That hesitation was louder than any answer. She eventually said she didn't know. I told her I suddenly knew a lot. I knew I wasn't anyone's maybe. I wasn't a backup plan. I wasn't a comfortable option. I stood up, thanked her for the honesty I should have received months ago, and walked into the bedroom like a man who had lost both a girlfriend and his favorite hoodie in one day. I packed slowly, not because I needed time, but because I didn't want to run. Running would make it feel like I lost. I wanted to leave like I was choosing myself, even if my hands were shaking. Emma watched me from the doorway. She cried. I didn't. I told her I hoped she found what she was looking for. She said she hoped we could still be friends. I almost laughed so hard I would have needed medical attention. Friends, yes, because betrayal is such a strong foundation for friendship. I moved into my friend Leo's apartment. Leo was supportive in the way only a man with no emotional filter can be. He said, "At least now you're single in your best years," and then immediately asked if Emma had any single friends. I told him he was emotionally banned from giving advice. Still, living there helped. I wasn't alone, I could talk, I could joke, I could pretend I wasn't checking Emma's social media like a digital detective with low self-esteem. 2 weeks later, I saw the photo. Emma and Daniel, smiling, official, captioned with something poetic about unexpected beginnings. I stared at it for a full minute, then laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. She had replaced me with a caption. That night, I unfollowed her. Not out of anger, out of survival. It felt like closing a door that had been letting cold air slowly freeze my chest. Here's where the story should calm down. But life apparently wanted better content. 3 months later, Daniel messaged me. Yes, me. I stared at his name like it was a haunted object. He wrote, "Hey, I think we should talk." My first instinct was to delete the message and move to another country. My second instinct was curiosity. I replied with a very mature, emotionally stable, "About what?"
We met in a cafe, like civilized enemies. Daniel looked nervous, not confident, not smooth, just human. He told me Emma had cheated on him with another coworker. I almost choked on my water. The universe had just delivered poetic justice with extra seasoning. He said he wanted to apologize. He said he hadn't known she was still emotionally involved with me when they started. He said he felt stupid. I said, "Welcome to the club. The membership is trauma."
We laughed. Not happily, but honestly. Two men, betrayed by the same woman, sitting over overpriced coffee like a support group nobody planned. He showed me messages. Dates overlapped, promises repeated. The words she used with him were almost identical to the ones she had used with me. I felt anger, but also relief. It wasn't that I wasn't enough, it was that she was consistent in being inconsistent. It started with her phone. Not because I was snooping. I am a proud, ethical human who respects privacy. Her phone, however, betrayed her by buzzing at 2:17 a.m. like a mosquito with secrets. She was asleep, face pressed into my shoulder, breathing peacefully like a person who definitely was not ruining my life. The screen lit up with a message preview. I can't stop thinking about last night. No name, just those words. Romantic, vague, terrifying. I stared at it like it was about to jump off the screen and slap me. Emma was trying to get back with me. Apparently, she told him she still loved me, that I was her safe place, and that she had made a mistake, while telling me months earlier that she needed space. I laughed so hard, people stared. Not because it was funny, but because it finally made sense. I wasn't the problem. I was the option she wanted when her choices failed. Daniel asked me if I still loved her. I said I loved the version of her that didn't exist anymore. He nodded, like a man who had just emotionally retired. We shook hands again, this time not as rivals, but as survivors of the same emotional, natural disaster. I went home that night feeling lighter. Not healed, but lighter. I realized closure doesn't always come from the person who hurt you. Sometimes it comes from realizing the story was never about you being unworthy. It was about someone else being unfinished. And just when I thought the plot was finally over, Emma texted me.
Her message was long, emotional, carefully written, the kind of message that tries to sound honest without sounding guilty. She said she missed me, she said she had grown, she said she understood now what she lost. I read it 3 times. The old me would have replied immediately. The new me waited, not to play games, but because I finally respected my own peace enough to protect it. We met again, one last time. She looked softer, tired, human, not the villain in my story anymore, just a person who had made choices and was now living with them. She apologized properly this time. No excuses, no poetry, just accountability. I appreciated that. I truly did. But appreciation is not the same as forgiveness, and forgiveness is not the same as returning.
She asked me if there was any chance. I told her the truth. I said I had learned who I was without her, and I liked that version of myself too much to give him back to someone who once replaced him. She cried. I didn't. Not because I was cold, but because I was finally done bleeding. We hugged. Not romantically, not hopefully, just two people closing a chapter that had already been read too many times. When I walked away, I didn't feel dramatic. I felt calm. And calm after chaos feels like winning a silent war. Months later, I started dating someone new. Not because I was healed, but because I was honest. Honest about my scars. Honest about my fears. Honest about my boundaries. And for the first time, honesty didn't scare someone away. It brought them closer. Sometimes I think about Emma, not with anger, not with sadness, just with understanding. She taught me what I deserved by showing me what I should never accept again. And Daniel, we still occasionally send memes to each other. Trauma really does create the strangest friendships.